Thank you for staying with us. This is Good Morning Kenya, and right now we have gotten into our family check segment. And as I had mentioned at the very beginning of the program, our topic of conversation today is on dealing with disappointment. So we're going to look at ways in which you can deal with disappointments in a way that it will not be harmful to you. And I'm very pleased to have the guest that I have with me in studio, beginning with the one just right next to me on my right. We have Evangelist Courage MB. Evangelist Courage MB is an author and also a film director, and from the Kingdom Initiative. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
All right, right next to Evangelist Courage, we have Anthony Njenga, and Anthony is a psychologist, he's a mentor and a mental health champion. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Vivian.
All right, joining us later will be Mite, who is a trainer, mentor, and the CEO Pro Mentors Africa. He'll be joining us as we continue with this conversation. Let us begin with first, how about we define what disappointments are? When we talk about disappointments, how does that look like? What do we call a disappointment?
Honestly, for me, I would say a disappointment from a layman's language is that emotional pain we feel when reality doesn't match our expectations. You know, it's that feeling you get when you hope for something to happen, but it doesn't happen. Yes.
Yeah. So disappointments mainly come from our expectations. Do you also think the same way?
Yeah, I agree with him. But there's a key word I want to start with, just for a lay point of view, and just to also give because I'm going to be dealing with this from a biblical perspective. Disappointment, it causes sorrow, but one of the key words I want to use is believed. It is a powerful tool that you choose to believe in someone, and when you believe in someone, and when that person disappoints you, that level of expectation hurts. And let me just go further to just mention that, you know, God is a perfect mathematician. He said 1 + 1 in God's mind is 2. And God equates belief to righteousness. And so Bible says Abraham believed God and was counted unto him for righteousness. And so when you believe in someone, and when that person disappoints you, it put a deep holes in your heart. Because when you believe someone, you see them from a righteous perspective. You see them from the point where that person, you know, you have a huge expectation of that person that you can trust them, you can lean on them, and in a split second, they pull that raw out of you. It creates sorrow, unfulfilled desire, and of course, it kind of shrink your expectation for them. Yeah.
So from your point of view, that is how disappointment looks like. So from what he's saying, he's looking at it mainly from the point of, you know, one being disappointed by another person, you know. So there are such situations where the disappointment comes from someone else, and then there are disappointments where it's just how things have turned out. Maybe you were expecting to get this particular job, you went for the interview, you believe you did so well, but then you don't get it. Then there comes the disappointment as well. I want us to dwell on the fact that most of the times it's mainly because of the expectations we have.
Absolutely.
So does this mean that we lower our expectations? And how does that look like? Because we also need to be ambitious people. Yeah.
For me, I'd say, when you talk about lowering your expectation for you not to get disappointed, that means you will not be applying the simple virtue of being authentic, being yourself. You see, I believe for an expectation to happen the way you want it to happen, you have to have that personal authenticity that, you know, this is me. As much as I may want something to happen in a certain way, authentically, this is me. This is how, or this is what I expect. So I don't have to necessarily lower my expectations for me to achieve or for me to get what I'm supposed to get. What I'm trying to say is, as much as expectations really comes with, you know, disappointment, it doesn't mean that I will have to lower my expectation, because when I lower my expectation, it means I'll not be myself. I'll not be my authentic self.
Anthony, they need to check your microphone a bit, and as they do that, maybe I can come to the evangelist. You know, how would you say is the proper way to react to a moment of disappointment?
That's a great question. The first thing I want to say, disappointment is inevitable. In other words, it's going to exist.
Yep.
Whether we want it, and there's a key point you made when it comes to disappointment. We can be disappointed by individual, the government, the society, friend. And the reason why I say, how do we react to it? I think it's something that emerge as we have this mindset of not being disappointed. We should also expect that disappointment exists. And why do I say so? There are two things that from a biblical perspective that we can look at that came out of heaven. We did not invent it. It came straight out of heaven. The first thing is music. We did not invent music. And that's why music goes straight to the soul. Out of music, someone can drink. Out of music, someone can fall in love. The same with disappointment. We did not invent disappointment. A disappointment came out of heaven. It started with Satan and God. You know, God got to, God, in Job 1:6, Job talks about the sons of God. When you talk about the sons of God, you talk about angelic being. And Satan was among the sons of God. He was the very first person that disappointed God. God had an expectation of Job, of Satan. And Satan disappointed God. And disappointment, you can also see it with men. When Adam also disappointed God. And so disappointment is like death. Death is rooted into the earth. It shows up from nowhere. And death not going to go away until judgment day comes. And so to deal with disappointment, while it is true that we have expectation, it's also true we should have an open space that these things can happen. And why do I say so? And so in the end of the episode, I gave my brother the time to also talk. Why do I say we should have an open space? Why? Because if you don't have an open space that disappointment can come, it's going to hit you so hard, and it will sweep you off your feet. And some people go to the place of no recovery. Yeah, some people go to the place of no recovery. Yeah.
So for some people, it gets completely bad. We had cut you short while you were talking about you were expounding more on matters, disappointment, and where to draw the line between, your expectations and also living like someone who has ambitions still. You don't want to live without any kind of expectations because you're afraid of getting disappointed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was talking about being authentic, being real. You see, when you talk about, or when you say that I will have to lower my expectation so that I can, avoid my expectation of being disappointed, that means I'll not be myself. You see, as much as we are ambitious, as much as we are go-getters, we want to achieve some things, I don't necessarily have to lower my expectations for something to happen the way I want it to happen. Disappointments are, part of life. They are natural. We can't do away with disappointment. And when disappointments comes, one thing we need to understand, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. Disappointment shouldn't come from a point of failure. You see, Michael Jordan, basketball, he was suspended from his high school basketball team. And you see, he turned the disappointment into a motivation. You understand? You wouldn't say maybe if he was to lower his expectations on, all that, then he will not get disappointment. You see, we have to understand that this is a natural occurrence. As much as it comes from a point of us expecting something to happen or us expecting someone to behave or do a certain thing for us, and maybe the person doesn't do it. You see, I don't have to lower my expectation for me not to, or to avoid disappointment. It's just natural. I have to be myself. I have to be honest with myself. I have to be my real self, my authentic self. Yeah.
Why do you think disappointments affect us so much, because they do affect us so deeply, and sometimes you look at the matter, it's not really as big, but just because it's a disappointment, then it becomes, you know, it affects you so deeply. And even as you get to answer that, I want to involve my viewers to get into this conversation. You are open to send in your views on matters disappointments. I would love to know, how do you personally deal with disappointment? When disappointment comes, because as we've put it over here, it is inevitable. It comes. In one way or another, you'll get disappointed, you know, in this life. So how do you go about dealing with disappointment when it comes to you? The number that you can get to talk to us on is 0716-103-301. 0716-103-301. Send us a WhatsApp message. You can even call us and we'll get to listen to you live. So let's get back to that, Evangelist. You know, why do disappointments hurt us so deeply?
So we could consider several factors, but it depends on the landscape we're looking at. If you look at it from the governmental spectrum, from society, from individual spectrum, we can look at it from different point of view. But let me look at it from a core point of view, because most time disappointment already hurts when it's from a governmental spectrum. Everybody expects it because, you know, government disappoint people. People may take it to heart, but they can deal with that. But most time when it's people that are closer to you, that's why it hurts. And one of the things that I've discovered that makes disappointment to help people so bad, and we can identify this in scripture, is that those who disappoint you, they have the way of rubbing it in your face. They have a way of just making that thing to sink into you. And we can see a story between, we can look at the story between Adam and God. When you look at Genesis from chapter 1 to 3, Adam did not give his wife name Eve. But after he disappointed God, in Genesis chapter 4, the Bible says Adam called his wife Eve, and said she would be the mother of my children, or the word, just to paraphrase. Now, people who disappoint you, they have no tolerance. They can look into your face and rub it all in your face. And it's not just what they have done to you, it's the way they go about it. And so every time I read a text, when I'm talking about disappointment, I ask myself, the guy had been in this place with this lady. He didn't give her a name. When God told him, this is what's going to happen to you, he didn't even beg God. He just turned around and named the woman. The name will be Eve. In other words, God, it's okay. I will go with my wife, and we're going to have some fun time. And that's what disappointment does. People who disappoint you, they have a way of coming. It's like taking a needle and sticking it into the heart, because they want to make sure that you are demobilized and you can arise up. And I don't know how much time I have to answer this, but I want to piggyback on something he said in terms of expectation. You see, he said something very key, that when you have an expectation, you don't lower it just because of other people. Because expectation, it should align with your capacity. It's almost like a building. Every building should have a design. And then every design of a building is determined by an architect. And so we need to identify, you need to identify who you are. You have a vision of yourself. You see, when you have a vision of yourself, I don't care what they throw at you, you're going to get up because of that vision. It's a core value that drives you. Even though you are disappointed, even though you feel frustrated, but you say to yourself, I got something to offer. Just the Michael Jordan situation. Michael Jordan knew that he had something to offer.
He kept it.
He kept going with that.
What, you know, why does it seem, or why do some people seem to bounce back very quickly, you know, after a disappointment, while for some they spiral completely and they even shut down, maybe self-destroy in one way or the other? What brings the distinction between I'm able to bounce back from this disappointment and I just don't know how to go about this?
One, I'd say if you're a person who you're able to bounce back from disappointment, then it means you're resilient enough to look at the disappointment from a point of, it's not a failure, it's not a mistake. You see, when a disappointment comes, one of the ways you're able to deal with it is accepting and acknowledging it. The moment you're disappointed by someone or disappointed by something, you have to accept it. After you accept it, you reflect, you don't react. You reflect, what are the lessons you will learn from this? You understand? After you reflect, you reframe the situation. And by reframing, what I mean is you look at the situation and see, you see there's some disappointment that comes, and those disappointment pushes you to become much better from where you are. After you have reframed the situation, now you stay hopeful and you rebuild. Because when you get disappointment, it doesn't mean that's the end for you. So if you're a person who easily bounces back, then you understand all these 4 steps. 1, you accept and acknowledge the disappointment. 2, you reflect. You don't react. 3, you reframe the situation. Number 4, and you stay hopeful. If then you're a person who doesn't, or you're a person who actually gets demoralized, or feels so bad, or gets so stressed up when a disappointment happens, then you're a person who lacks what we call resilience. Or in short, I'd call it, I'd also relate disappointment with emotional intelligence. You understand? So then you need to understand when you're disappointment, all that matters is what you do with that particular disappointment. Do you react or do you reflect before you react? You understand? So don't be the type of person who says, when I'm disappointed, I will feel so broken. I will look at myself as someone who is not supposed to be in this world. No, it doesn't have to be necessarily that way. You have to look at the situation and accept the situation, because you see, there are situations that are beyond your control. There are disappointments that come that are beyond your control. You see, when you're doing your best, let's say, for example, someone who's complaining that he or she doesn't have the money, but they are working, they are doing their best. They are waking up in the morning, every single morning, doing something, praying. They are hopeful about all that. You see, if you're that kind of person, and you keep on complaining, why don't I have this? Why do things happen this way? Why do I get disappointed? There are things that are beyond you. If you keep stressing on things that are beyond you, you see, I love, just to mention this, the serenity prayer. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. And the wisdom to understand the difference. So you see, as much as disappointment comes in your life, or as much as disappointment comes in at whatever point, you need to understand, is it something you can change? Is it something that can propel you to become better? If it is, go for it. If it is not, then look at it from a point of, it is beyond my control. Then it means I can't do anything about it. As he said, the disappointment comes from God, from heaven. There are things you can't just control. There are things you can't just, as much as you're doing your best, the most important part is doing your best. You can't say that I don't have money and you sleep, wake up at 11 a.m. and you don't do nothing. You don't even apply for jobs. You don't ask your friends to connect you to jobs and stuff like that. But as long as you're doing your best, that aspect of you saying that you don't have money won't be permanent. You understand? So as much as you have that hope for achieving something, hope has to come with you being resilient and pushing yourself a step further, one step at a time, towards achieving what you want to achieve. So you won't say that I have an expectation of achieving or getting the money, but I am not getting it. Ask yourself why. And you see the disappointments, Vivian, that come to educate you. You learn from them. You experience something, for example, in a relationship, in marriage, you learn from that particular situation. You understand? You won't lower your expectations because someone has treated you in a bad way and say, you know what, I will have to lower my expectation because
this is how people are.
You understand? It doesn't have to be necessarily that way.
Yeah. And just from, picking up from that, one would say, maybe there's someone who's watching and they would feel like, it's always easier said than done. Like you can say it, on paper and writing that disappointment should not kill you and all of that. It's easier said than done because there are some that come and hit you so badly. So, just what are the ways in which you can be able to manage your disappointments? Are there tips that you can give us in how to go about managing your disappointments, bit by bit?
So I could look at 3 factors. The first thing I want to look at, I know we're talking about disappointment, but there's a key thing that we need to identify in the conversation. In a marriage, as we want to deal with disappointment, we need to identify faulty expectations. A lot of people are disappointed because of faulty expectations. They have expectations that they do not even have the capacity for. If you want to, you got to be a finished product to attract finished product.
Yep.
You getting my point?
Yeah.
Let me take it from the side of relationship. You cannot say to yourself you want to marry a college graduate, and here you are, you're not prepared to even finish secondary school.
That's very true.
All right? You see, you got to be a product of vision.
Yeah.
That drive people to you. Just like I did mention earlier about an architect designing a building. The design, we're sitting in this building because we trust it. Someone designed it, and that building has a foundation. Let's just look at Matthew 7. 24 to 27, I cannot read that. But Jesus gave this parable of two persons. All right, they both build their homes. One built his home on a solid foundation, and the next person built their home on the sinking sand. When you look at the both character, they had the same experience, but one survived. The Bible says that the rain came, the wind rose against it, and the wind beat against their home. The one with a lower foundation, right? The wind knock it off. But the one with a solid foundation withstood the wind. Why? Because that person had a foundation that kept them going, even though they had the same experience, but they could survive it. So it is good. Now, why would I go to the market and buy an expired product? I don't want to go to the market to buy an expired product. I go to the market to spend my money to be able to buy a product of value, product that will bring value to me. So the first thing we got to deal with faulty expectation. If you do not want to be disappointed, do not create expectation that you cannot match up with. That's the first thing. And now, other tips to deal with disappointment, I would also go back to the biblical perspective, because I want to see the way God dealt with disappointment, and that's how I deal with things when I'm disappointed. One of the things that I've observed and see about God dealing with disappointment, when you're disappointed about Satan, he took Satan from his presence. He took Satan from his presence.
Yeah.
All right? When Adam disappointed him, he took Adam from his presence. Now, doesn't mean that God did not interact with the animal, but God did it in such a way that he raised them. I don't want to use the word erase completely from the mind, but he created a distance. I wish he could deal with them. And then the next thing God did was he revisioned himself. He created a vision to really regain control. And we see that vision through Abraham all the way to his son Jesus. And so when you are disappointed, those who disappoint you, you got to learn to just take them from your presence. Because I know sometimes it's hard because it's family members, it could be kids, it could be that. You got to create a buffer. Something that create a little distance so that you know who this person is and what they have done and how you can deal with them. And then you got to go back on the drawing board and revision things to be able to deal with that.
All right. We were talking about disappointments. That is what we have been looking at and trying to look at ways in which we can deal with disappointments. Now, there's something I would love to get to know, specifically from the psychologist. So, Anthony, you know, does our childhood or how we've been brought up, you know, get to influence how we are able to deal with disappointments?
Absolutely. Because, you see, let me give an example. If you have been brought up in a family whereby also what you say to your kid, for example, when you tell your child or when you are told as a child that you're a smart child, you are smart, you can do it. So it means, yes, it's a good thing to tell your child that, but you need also to tell your child you are smart, but you need to also be open to them that at some point in life they'll have to be open to disappointment and failing. So you see, when you tell this child, just leave it at, maybe you just tell the child you are a smart child, you wewe smart, wewe you are a sharp boy, you are good.
So we are leaving no room for failure at all.
Growing up, this person will have that challenge to accept disappointment because they have always been, it has always been given to them. You see, the expectations were always met because when they perform well, they are told they are smart. When they do something nice, when they do something good, they are told you are doing good. So you see, when they grow up, they have not been prepared enough or to be open to disappointments and, failures and stuff like that. So our childhood experiences and what also our parents tell their children really influences how this child grows up and how open they are when they are disappointed. Because it's important for parents to understand, if you have a child right now and you're watching me and you're watching us, you need to prepare your child early enough. As much as they're doing good, tell them, yes, you're doing good in something, but it doesn't always have to necessarily work like that. At some point, you're going to be disappointed. At some point, you're going to fail. You see, this child will now grow up open-minded on expecting whatever outcome that comes. Because the challenge we're having as adults is we are always, one, we are having we put high expectations on some things, also some people. And when those expectations are not met, they demoralize us, they demotivate us, they put us or make us sad. Now you see, you have to prepare your child early enough. So our childhood experiences really have an impact to how open we are, how open-minded we are to disappointment as we grow to become adults.
Yeah, so even for parents and guardians who are looking after the little ones right now, maybe this is something that should start being instilled from an early age.
Exactly.
So that by the time you're growing up, disappointments don't really put you down like that. You're able to bounce back up from it. And I want to borrow from that. There's a conversation that was happening sometime online, whereby we were talking about, where do the top performers, or where are our top performers right now in life? Those who are the best in KCSE, the best in KCPE, the best, first class honors. And someone was saying, sometimes some of these people, it gets so hard for them to live in the outside, the way we are told, so ukimaliza shule, you're outside now. Live in that outside world whereby, you're not always number one, and you're used to that. And this can be disappointment that really brings you down to the point where you're beaten out completely. So
it can actually happen like this. You see these people who are top performers, who have been always topping in school, primary school, secondary school, in university. Now it is just simple as, I've ever met, this is practical. I've met someone, and this person told me that there's a time they were boarding a public matatu, and an expectation they had, or they have, is they have to sit near the driver at the front, because basically in KCPE they got 420 marks, in KCSE they got an A-, in university they graduated with first class honors. So they always have to, even private cars, they have to sit in front, at the front. So that day, they met someone who was really wanted to sit at the front, and it was an issue. And the person told me, I had that challenge of accepting this person to actually sit in the front, because you see, all through my life, I've never had that point where I am behind. I'm just always ahead. I'm always in front. So you see, it can have an impact. It can just be as mere as that. So unapatana na mtu mumengangana kupigania hiyo kiti ya mbele ya dereva. But in essence, you don't understand the reason why this person is doing it. Because maybe itam demoralize, and such people they now give themselves the pressure. You see, this is a person who has been using public means na hizi keti mbele. Sasa itampatia the pressure to actually buy a car so that they can be the one now driving the car. So you see, that becomes unrealistic pressure.
Yeah. So now maybe just to try and look at, the difference between temporary setback and redirection, because they say sometimes not all disappointments are bad disappointments. One of the, it could be, there's this saying that I like to use, whereby it says things happen for you, they don't happen to you. So try look at things, okay, this has happened, so how is it supposed to change me in one way or the other? So this brings me to that question that I've just asked, the difference between this is a temporary setback and this is redirection. I should change everything, I should take a different route.
So it also has to do with the person viewpoint of life. It depends on how you view it. Because what could be temporary for someone could be a life everlasting impact to another person. And so, but I just take it as it may be that something is temporary and something could be permanent. The fact of the matter, I want to divine this, I want to address this from a vision perspective. Because vision is everything. Any man without a vision, you have no drive. You're not going anywhere.
That's true.
Because, to be honest with you, men that have fallen and men who rose up, something drove them from the floor.
That's true.
When you sit in a moving car and you take that car from the parking lot and you get into that car, you assume responsibility. You are telling yourself, as I drive this car, I'm aware that there are red lights on the road. I'm aware that I'm going to a traffic. I cannot fly because I can hit someone. I cannot stop abruptly on the road because someone can hit me. I have to be focused on my view mirrors because I can't just do an essay because someone else might be coming. So you assume responsibility. And that's where vision comes from. If I know who I am and what I want to achieve based on my definition of life, because my definition of life could be different from the next person. So based on my definition of life, I can approach everything either at a temporary perspective or I can see it as a permanent crash. And so you have to define yourself based on what you want to achieve.
That's true.
In life. And so a disappointment can be a temporary stuff for you if you can visualize what have happened, rebuild your expectation, design it. I tell you for a fact, I have been knocked down many times, but every time I've seen myself knocked down, I've always recreate. And most time I'm excited I was knocked down because it gave me a broader picture. You did mention that I'm a film director. Yes. Most time when I'm on movie set and we're shooting and maybe the light broke or the camera to do it. Of course, these films are low budget film or maybe the cast have not come or something else happened. Nobody knows my script. I wrote the script. People know this. People only know what they view on the screen. So until it gets on the screen, no one knows my script. And so we have a common saying, the same pen that wrote it, the same pen can stretch it out. And so I go back into my script and I revision my script. If I had two persons in the house that should have had a conversation, I can redesign my scene and I do a monologue. And I do a monologue. What should have been a two-person interaction can become a phone call. So it's revisioning yourself. Let me add this to the conversation. You know, Africa, to be very honest with you, we are very resilient people. I had the privilege to experience life in Africa and experience life in the U.S. I tell you this truth, and I had the privilege to work in the mental health setting. So working with different professional people, helping people with mental health issues. I'm telling you, one of the challenges that I'm seeing with people who are broken down and disappointed and all that is the childhood trauma. A lot of people, it's so difficult for them to disconnect themselves from the childhood trauma. They will always reflect for what their mom did to them, what their father did to them, what their father was not in the home, their mom was not in the home. It's almost like they built a wall. And they have layers to the wall. And it's difficult for them to disconnect from those walls. And so if you want to break out from disappointment to see it from a temporary perspective or a permanent perspective, you should redefine your vision. You should know who you are and what you want to achieve. You can't allow any circumstances to knock you down because the world is brutal. I will end with this. We came into an open space. The world is an open space. And this world is yearning for people who will impact it. Who are you? Are you born to impact? If you are born to impact, then get up and run the race. But if you want to sit there and complain all the time, after 10, 20 years, all we will see is your story of disappointment. But if you want to look back and say, I was disappointed, I went there, but this is who I am today, then people celebrate your legacy.
Absolutely.
All right. So as you put it, nothing changes if nothing changes. So you need to work towards changing your situation always, no matter what. I love that. So as we almost come to a close of this conversation, maybe what are some things that you feel people misunderstand about disappointments?
What people misunderstand? One thing that people misunderstand is that disappointments always have to lead to failure. That's the first thing. And you need to understand that just because you have experienced a disappointment at a particular area, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. You see, I'll just say what he said. It just depends on who you are and how you look at yourself. Because you see, who you are, your authentic self, how you look at yourself, really tells on what next. If you're a person to just sit down, do nothing, no resilience, no, you're not pushing yourself towards doing something, then that's how your life is going to be. You're going to just tell us your story of how disappointed you have been. And it's not that you are not in a position to do something about it. It's just that you are not able to. It's not about even ability. Ni wewe tu huko unataka kujitoa from that comfort zone. Because you see, one thing about disappointment, you cannot say that you're disappointed about something and you're living in your comfort zone. You know, comfort zone is what kills all of us. You just can't say, I will remain stagnant, I won't move. It doesn't matter what you do. In your workplace, in your relationships setup, you won't say that now just because you guys are having challenges in your marriage, you will always have to address the challenge all through in your marriage. There are people who are here, there are couple therapists. You can take it to couple therapy. If you're a person who really, you have seen that disappointments really put you down, you can do therapy yourself. You see, we have to also understand that you need somebody to actually help you in, because you see disappointment, there are people who are really affected by disappointment. There are people who really feel as if they're less of a person. And as I said, childhood trauma. If it comes from that point of childhood trauma, then address it in therapy. Get someone you can talk to, get a professional, someone who can be able to be empathetic, not just sympathetic with your situation, because sympathy won't help you. You need someone who will be able to listen, to understand on how you're feeling, because one thing you need to understand about disappointment, it's okay to feel sad, it's okay to feel frustrated, but you see what you do at that level is what matters. So I'll just tell people, I'll finish by saying this. In order for you, or what's the strategies you can use when you're disappointed? One, and I'll repeat what I just said. One, accept it, no matter how difficult it is. We normally say ni ngumu, lakini kitu yote ni ngumu ni possible. Whatever is hard, it is possible to try. Accept and acknowledge it. Once you have accepted that it's okay, I'm feeling frustrated, I'm feeling sad. The second one, you reflect on how, what you're learning, or what is your take on this particular disappointment. So reflect, don't react. After that, you reframe the situation. Reframing the situation means, like, you see the disappointment that comes and moves you to become a better person. Don't just remain there and you see maybe hii disappointment haikupeleki mahali. After you reframe, you stay hopeful. So for me, if you work with those four strategies, then I believe when you are faced with any point, or at any point you're faced with disappointment, you are able to maneuver and
get out of it. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us for this conversation. It was a pleasure having you here. And I'm sure that whoever, the people that are watching us back at home, they have gotten to pick a thing or two from it that will enable them to be able to bounce back from any disappointment, from any setbacks that comes their way, because they are inevitable. They will come your way. So you need to learn how to get out of it.